first you have to move it.
With that and just. With the exception of 17, but no.
Now you're moving.
Now you're moving just 17.
Just for 17.
Yes.
So are we reading what this
Yeah.
is for 17? Well,
Now,
what?
on recommendation of the
superintendent rules to approve items
17.
17.
I'd like to second.
Any
Now it's up for
discussion?
Right, and then I would like to amend 17 to take out, to make it into two separate motions for everything except for the physical education and health. I'd like to vote on that separately.
Well, that you can vote on separately when they call the vote.
So.
You don't have to separate it out. It's one motion, and then however you wanna vote on each area will be noted.
Perfect, okay.
Okay,
Is there
any other discussion?
Discussion. So if you want to tell me, so we're removing this from.
No,
No, you're not doing anything else. Yeah.
It's been moved and seconded in its entirety, but however a board member wants to vote on each of the areas, that's how their vote will be noted.
Can I ask why we're separating it out?
Yes.
Or you would like to separate it out?
Sure. Sure. I would like to say because, the 20, alright, the state learning standards, have performance expectations for the, physical education and health. The state learning standards have performance expectations by 5th grade, which include explaining sexual development, hormones, romantic sexual feelings, and masturbation. They want our grade school children to differentiate between a person's sexual orientation and gender identity. The 6th to 8th grade standards include teaching our minor children about when gender identity, gender expressions, and sexual orientation, identifying when to engage in sexual behaviors, defining vaginal, oral, and anal sex. In addition, talking to children about pregnancy options such as parenting, abortion, and adoption. The state learning standards want teachers to talk to our children about state laws and our minors' ability to consent to healthcare confidentially without their parents. And I believe that parents have the right to be the teachers of morality and values to their children. I support curriculum and standards that do not interfere with a parent's role to raise their children. So for that reason, I would like them separated out because I'm happy to pass the rest of the curriculum, but I do not agree with the government's interference in the morality of our children.
Doesn't it further state that the district board of education shall be responsible for review and continuous improvement of the curriculum and instruction? And I don't think that's what we're doing right now in this district, talking about those things. Is that what we do in this district right now?
Well, the state learning standards, the 2020 state learning standards, exactly what I had read was from the state learning standards, which is what the curriculum for, that will be written in the summer is going to align to those standards. So that's why I'm saying that I don't agree with the 2020 state learning standards, and I would prefer to keep our curriculum in the 2016, where it doesn't go to the 2020 standards.
I also read the state learning standard as well, and when I read it, they talked about evidence-based practices, and it also said that it is the discretion of this district. And I don't think we are teaching those items that you did state.
Okay, so are they willing to give lesson plans? Are they willing to show us what is being taught, what we are going to be receiving?
So we can request lesson plans for is this for the summer? When is this?
Well, let me just clarify, if you don't mind, with regards to what the agenda item is, and this is just approving curriculum hours for the professional educators to develop curriculum during the summer months as we have traditionally done. I think we have also said many times, if there are any questions with regards to lessons or how these items are being taught, as we have always done in the past, they are welcome to contact through their respective building principal and or their teacher who teaches those subject areas during the school year.
So let me ask this question. This was voted on before we were on the board, right? Whether we're gonna accept the 2020, is that correct? Was that voted on in?
No, the state board voted on it.
Oh, the state board voted on it.
Yes.
Okay, so my understanding of the letter that was provided was that we don't even have to accept the 2020. Because it should, as it's written, we all have our own decision, we all have our, basically homeschool on that, home rule on that. And it will not affect our, MJQ-SAC score. If we do not.
No, we have to adopt the 2020 standards, we have to be in alignment with the 2020 standards.
But that's
by
not the letter,
September.
but that's not
By this
what-
September.
That's not what the letter said, it said you don't
What,
have to.
the letter from?
The letter from the state, after Murphy took it back and reviewed it, there was a letter that went out that we received, that basically said that these are only guidelines, and they are not expected milestones to hit. And that, if that's the case, then they should not affect the QSAC score, is that correct?
I really would double check with our county office, but when I inquired with our county superintendent of schools regarding that, I guess there was some, latitude in terms of how that letter was supposed to be interpreted. And we are expected to, and we will need to, sign a statement of assurance prior to September 1st, indicating that we are in alignment with the 2020 standards.
And if we don't.
So, well, if we don't, we don't. That's a discussion for the board. From my position as a superintendent, as an educator, I would not necessarily.
So we would need an answer from the state. We should ask the question of the state, if there's a QSAC penalty. for
I
not
imagine they
adopting.
would take away points in the area of curriculum
Which I
if they
think-
were not in
It
alignment.
sounds like we do well enough where we can make that, just have that discussion later.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the actual lesson planning and things like that, are they going to any state-sponsored, courses for that? Based on the
You
2020?
mean us, are we going to
Is
do any
this-
state-sponsored
Is this
courses?
based, what we're talking about right now, Lisa asked us to read, is there any state-based courses that these teachers are expected to take or will be taking, teaching the 2020 version?
Not to my knowledge. no.
So it's really just taking their time to develop plans, and then that's then reviewed, because we had discussed last time about not changing, right? So then
That's correct.
So then then Mr. Wasserman and others would review that prior to this being utilized.
Our plan is to stay the course, as I stated at the last month's meeting with regards to our health and physical education curriculum. When the letter came out, from the State Department of Ed, I did check with our county superintendents of schools regarding the interpretation of that. You could read parts of that letter to indicate that, are you saying that districts do not have to be compliant and aligned to the New Jersey student learning standards? And I was told by the county superintendent of schools that was not the intent of the letter. We are expected to be in alignment with the standards. However, we still have the latitude and the discretion as a district to deliver the curriculum in the manner in which we've traditionally done it over the years, because we have that latitude in what we do here. The letter also indicated it did not endorse, nor does it recommend any lesson plans, activities, videos, and things along those lines.
So really, it's not, what they're learning or preparing for over the summer is not anything different than what they're learning.
That's correct. That is correct.
Well, right, except, are we gonna be receiving, when we have our guidelines, are they gonna show what our children's benchmarks are?
That things will be developed over the summer as part of our curriculum. They will be shared with the board prior to approval.
And if we accept the learning standards, we're accepting the state learning standards.
We're accepting the student learning standards, but the student learning standards do not dictate. They give us latitude and do not dictate any specific activities that seem to have been creating some of the controversy out there on social media and what have you. As I said last month, we are staying the course. We are gonna continue to do what we do here in Hanover Township, and we are gonna take full advantage of the latitude of which the state has provided us with as a local school district. And we will not be deviating from that.
As a board, will we be able to have lesson plans or, lesson materials after curriculum has been made?
We traditionally have not shared lesson plans with the board, specific lesson plans. Again, I go back to any parent who has a question regarding what and how things are being done in our schools on any grade level, contact the building principal and or teacher directly, and remember too, everyone has the right to opt out on any of these
Well, I'm asking
sensitive topics.
proactively, not reactively.
No, I'm just.
Yeah,
letting
no,
you know.
no, I'm saying like as a child, like, you know, having children in the district, you know, getting proactive syllabus, proactive, you
Yeah,
know.
all of that is in the works. We're having discussions as an admin team as we move forward through this, because, I believe there is a bill pending on the state level right now. Our curriculum is online. Now, we're currently transitioning, I think Mr. Wasserman has mentioned it, the curriculum committee meetings, that we're moving into Atlas, and it will all be accessible. And just like, anything with regards to how that is actually being delivered in the classroom, those are questions that are better served on a building level with regards to our building administration and teachers who deliver.
So our district is not gonna be teaching gender identity and,
I will say that we will be aligned to the New Jersey Student Learning Standards as required by the Department of Ed, and that we will take the latitude, as I said last month in my remarks to the community, that we are staying the course and taking the latitude to continue with the activities that we feel will be aligned with those standards. And I think the state has said they do not endorse, recommend anything with regards to the materials, the lesson plans, videos, etc. Those are local decisions.
So my issue with that statement is that, as a board, wouldn't it be our responsibility to set a standard that they should reach if it's not in complete alignment with what, to say to do it the Hanover way is one thing, to provide them with what our expectations are another. Because what's gonna happen is you're gonna have teachers who are gonna teach it one way, another teacher's gonna teach it another way, another one who you don't even know, maybe it's a new hire, and you're not aware of what their thought process are, is gonna go further than you would expect. And then now kids are exposed, and then you have to react. Instead of being reactionary, we should be proactive and set an expectation of what those things are.
But we're not here to micromanage.
I understand we're not here not to micromanage, but we're also here to make sure that the people are all heard, and we understand that if we have this latitude, where does that end? And you have to give them some sort of a benchmark, otherwise it's a free-for-all.
But I believe that that's what our administration and the
And
professionals.
then that goes to,
And it's not
that
what we
goes to
guide.
why isn't the board then have the latitude
We
to?
don't guide, we just monitor.
I understand that, but at the same time, we should be aware of what is happening. If we're gonna say we're doing one thing, we should be able to take a look at these things prior to, and then
We
state
approved
whether
the
we.
curriculums.
I know we did, most of us did approve the curriculums. But there were still questions
We
out
do
there.
that after they write it.
You will get that information, and Mark, with regards to the question about, new hires and new teachers, etc. We do a very, rigorous, teacher orientation program, a new teacher orientation program that meets, in August prior to the beginning of the school year, and once a month for the most part during the entire school year. And district's expectations, not only in health and physical education, but in any of the content areas that we teach, are clearly communicated to our staff by Mr. Wasserman and myself in his role as our director of curriculum. And our building administrators monitor it on a daily basis.
I understand that, and we know that people do go rogue because it's occurred recently. So we're trying to say, let's give a guideline or a benchmark to avoid that situation in the future, especially with something that's gonna pollute a child's mind, and then you can't take it back. That's my point, but that's not what we're discussing right now, so we can move forward.
Yep,
Lisa,
Mr.
how you'd like to do it.
All right, so we ready to go?
Roll call. We're just voting on item number 17.
Item number 6.
Item number 17.
As a whole. As a whole.
Well,
Again,
an isolated area you don't want to move forward.
That's
All right.
correct.
Dr. Wright.
Okay, so if I'm voting yes, I want to.
You
do what?
accept all.
You
You're
can say
accepting
yes or no.
everything. You can say, or yes to all items except, or.
Yes to everything.
Mr. Basile.
Yes.
Mrs. McSorley.
Dr. McSorley?
Oh. I'm usually not third. Yes. Mr. Marasano.
I'm gonna vote yes to all, but I wanna just state that I wanna see what's come up with over the summer, so that's why I'm voting yes to all. On that one in particular.
Mrs. Bemenka?
I'm voting, yes and no to the physical education.
And Mrs. Matier?
So I'm voting yes to all and abstaining from social studies.